All right, how are we all doing, guys? Wanted to run through a couple of things in the market right now because it is getting pretty crazy. We're looking like we have a technical bottom set up at the moment, but obviously there's so many crazy things going on in the fundamentals right now, especially with macroeconomics and, realistically, let's be honest, it's all coming down to politics at the moment and what's going to happen with these tariffs. So, it's April 2nd. Tonight's going to be that trade deadline that they're calling Liberation Day. And, Trump's going to place reciprocal tariffs on everybody else, which means that any tariff another country has on the US, he's going to place the same tariff back on them. And then some of them have basically tariffs, but some other way of taxing, a duty or something like that. Or, there's sneaky ways that they're basically making it harder for the US to compete in that industry, in that market, in that economy or country. So he's going to basically have reciprocity for whatever it is. So basically, if anyone is giving an advantage to basically make it harder for the US companies to compete in that market, he's going to make it basically bring it down to break even, or he's offering trade deals where they can just remove the tariffs or the duties to make it an even playing field. So there's either going to have tariffs both ways or nothing both ways. And that's basically what they're looking at the moment. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how all of this plays out, especially because we have some great setups on the chart right now. So I want to quickly just jump in and show you guys what I'm looking at, and we can take a quick peek into the market right now. So really nice bottom here on Bitcoin technically. We came back to the previous year value area high, which is always a really important level that we want to be hitting. And we've gone from having a really nice downtrend through here, and you can see that we've gone from making lower lows, and then we've made a switch here into making higher lows. Excuse me. Making higher lows through here, right? So we had the market structure shift when we broke through the high here, even though it just made it out through a wick. I usually like to see a close above there for confirmation, but this one ended up working out anyway. So we've got the wick above here, really nice SFP, and then it comes all the way back in and hits the fair value gap that's just through here, right? And then basically from there, we have a really nice, we basically get that really nice high probability order block setup that we like to take for our reversal setups, right? So we came out of that. So we got high probability order block because we've swept the liquidity through here on the previous year value area high, which we know is a really key important long-term VWAP level, right? And then we've had a really strong push up through here, and we've come back to basically put in a nice retest of this order block here, right? So this was a really nice order block through here, and we've come back and put in a nice retest of that, and now bouncing back out of there. Okay, so what the key really is, because obviously we rejected off the developing yearly value area low back here, we need to reclaim this value area low and then hold it, right? So we were looking good here the other day. We had a really nice break, and market was chopping inside of value area low, and we see we bounced off it a couple of times. But basically what happened was, we didn't break out of the downtrend, which is this level through here, right? This is the downtrend from the highs. We didn't break out of that. And if you draw that actually on the closes of the candles, right? If we just bring that into the closes of the candles on the daily time frame, I actually like to draw these on the 4 hours. So let's just go and do that. It actually lined up really, really cleanly, right? And so typically I'll look for a 4-hour breakout to confirm that breakout. And you can see if we just draw it on the closes of the candles, you can see it rejected perfectly through there. And realistically, this was the candle here that sort of told us, we got that shooting star reversal here and rejection right off the trend line. That was the candle that told us we're most likely about to start heading down. And after we dropped this level through here, the range low, it was just pretty much game over. So unfortunately, we were looking like it was going to try and chop around and break up through here. And then we would have been looking for the rotation developing yearly VWAP, but we just had too much downwards pressure from Trump, bringing out new tariffs, threats and stuff like that. And the new tariffs, the 25% on autos and stuff like that. And it just became too much for the market and put that extra downward pressure. And we broke basically this rising wedge structure that's through here, which obviously is quite a bearish structure, okay? But we haven't really played out. So we've hit target one of that, and then we've bounced. Now the question is, do we roll over and do we head lower? Which could easily happen. If we get bad news out tonight, like the tariffs are way worse than what everybody's expecting, and there's a negative downside surprise, then we're going to roll over here. And I think the best trade options will be even a sweep of the low here and reclaim. So if we get a really nice pin bar candle like this one through here, if we get that down here on a sweep of pretty much 76,500, right, then that could be a great next entry for a reversal setup to run back again to test the developing value area low, right? Now, if we can't get a nice swing failure pattern there, then we're looking for pretty much this final block order box, which is just an order block from back here, and that would be a complete return to retest the previous ranges pretty much high, right? We also have the 2021 all-time high, which definitely played a role through here as well. And then we've got the previous year VWAP. So I think we're definitely going to bottom somewhere in this area through here, I would expect. Basically, you know, let's just say more than likely in between 70K and 66. You know, probably end up getting a wick. If we do have a capitulation, probably end up getting a wick, right? And it ends up, you know, we do get a capitulation, it'll probably end up looking something like this, right? And then you end up getting a candle that closes just above this order block, right, on the higher time frames, like the daily or something like that, and then you can reverse off that. That would end up being pretty nice, right? But the real key to how low it goes, I mean, it's really hard to predict until we see the specific bounce off one of those levels and we get, you know, that really strong wick and solid reversing action. But, you know, what's easy, it's hard to pick. You know, do we bounce off 72? You know, do we bounce off, you know, 69, or do we bounce off 66? Or, you know, maybe we go even deeper all the way down to 50. Like, probably unlikely, but anything can happen. I think more than likely it's going to be somewhere within this range. Very hard to predict that until we see the price action actually come in. What's easier to predict is when the market's actually going to flip bullish, right? And that is very obvious. When we break this downtrend support, sorry, I should say downtrend resistance, and then we flip this level back here, because then that would be into a solid uptrend, right? So break the downtrend resistance. We're making low lows and low highs for ages. So we're making lower low here, lower low. Now, if this can hold as the current low, which would be perfect, because you know the daily time frame, we got our really nice reversal setup. Anyone that's done our course knows that this is one of the reversal setups that we look for. It's being coined the DAX double doji reversal, because you know I like to trade it. Basically, all it is a Morningstar reversal with two dojis in the middle. Like, it's nothing too exciting, but you know, and this one obviously played out as an engulfing as well, which means it closed higher than this down candle here. So there's a lot happening here for potential reversals, and then that obviously would cement us for a higher low through here, and then we just need to break the higher high through here, and then we're back into an uptrend, and then we can look for that rotation back up to pretty much 100K, which would be our developing year value area high. And I wouldn't be surprised if we got a full rotation all the way up to this order block, which is pretty much at 104K, okay? So that's going to be the targets that I'm looking for if we can manage to reclaim the value area low at 85. And we do obviously get good information coming out tonight about these reciprocal tariffs, and we see how bad they are. So that really is what it comes down to. How hectic these tariffs end up being. If they are bad, obviously we're probably going to get a rollover, and we'll be looking for entries, you know, around this level between this order block here at 72 all the way down to 66, probably what I'm thinking. If we have good news, I think the market recovers, because I think we've overpriced to the downside across stocks and across, you know, the NASDAQ and the SPX 500, right? Gold has been absolutely sending as well. So I feel like that's like the day. If you look at the daily here for gold, you know, bearish divergence all the way through here. It's pretty overstretched. We've run all the way to 3,000. It's been like a $600 move on gold, which is massive. That's a 22% move basically since the start of the year. It's a solid run from gold. And obviously before that, you know, we had non-stop running pretty much for the whole of 2024. Right, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get some clarity on the tariffs and people are, oh, okay, it's not as bad as what we're expecting. They rotate out of things like gold, because people are going into gold because obviously there's issues with all the wars going on. We can't get any conflict resolution in Ukraine. You know, there's a lot of tensions heating up with Iran, et cetera, et cetera. You know, people move into gold because of that, but also because of what's going on. They don't understand what's happening with the stock market right now, so they go to gold because it's seen as a little bit more of a safer place to be holding up your money, especially when there's wars, you know, that aren't ending and, you know, potentially increasing and stuff like that. So And especially with tariff wars as well, right? So the real key is, how bad are these tariffs? Do we see reciprocity come out? Do we see, because it's hard to say reciprocity because all the US is doing is reciprocal tariffs on everybody else. So they would have to then add extra tariffs to the US on top of that, which is kind of a bit bullshit. If you ask me, it's like, oh, okay, so you're going to put the same tariff we're putting on you, so we're going to put an extra tariff so that we can still always stay ahead of you. Like, I don't know. I don't think that's going to end up going down too well in the long run for the countries that do that. So I could see, a lot more trade deals getting done out of this, and it might go back and forward for a month or two, which would be bad. If we can get this resolved quickly, then we can get clarity. Then I think gold potentially has a pullback here. I think the NASDAQ and SPX 500 get a rally here. And it's the same thing. We're bouncing off the VWAP. Can we reclaim the value area low, and can we get a push? But the key will be to break the high here on the NASDAQ, which is our TD9 pretty much. And there's a nice order block through there on the 8 candle. Right, if we can reclaim that, which is also previously value area high, at pretty much 20,400. If we can get back above that, that's going to end up being a really nice looking double bottom, right? And then that can easily send us back to highs. So that's basically the path there to getting back to the highs for the NASDAQ. And obviously the ES is the same. Like, flips more bullish once we can reclaim this order block through here, pretty much 5,800. And if we can get back over the 200 daily moving average, right? Obviously below that, we're looking a little bit more bearish. And these would be the levels that I'm looking for, if things do play out a little bit more bearish and, we do get nastier tariffs kicking in, and then we get reciprocal, we get retaliation tariffs, I should say, from China, from European Union, et cetera, et cetera. So we just have to see how it plays out. It's almost impossible to predict events like this because it basically comes down to what's Trump and his team going to decide, and then what are the other politicians going to do to react? Are they going to react in a really negative way just to seem like they're tough, and then they end up cutting a trade deal anyway? Does that affect the market in the meantime? Or do we get enough clarity from what's going to be released overnight so then the market can be like, okay, it's not as bad as what we were thinking. We've got clarity, we can move forward anyway. A lot of the time, it's like a sell the news event. A lot of the time you can have a buy the news event where everyone's panicked, there's uncertainty. Okay, bang, the certainty comes in. Even though it is bad, it ends up coming in, but everyone knows what it is, and now they can reallocate. People probably took a whole heap of profit in stocks, and then they can add back in. So it ends up kind of playing out like that. Okay, so hopefully that gives clarity on exactly what I'm thinking. But basically here, for Bitcoin, we've got a nice broadening descending wedge through here. And, if we can break this outside trend line here, that's pretty much perfectly how they play out. You have the swing low, right? You have the rally, you have the second swing low, you have a rally, you have the third swing low, then you have the final rally, and then you have that little cup bit at the end. And then once that breaks through this level here, so you have the break of the downtrend, right? Then you break the higher high through here, and then bang, that's a reversal setup. And then you rally back to the highs. I'll show you one that happened in 2023. It's this one back here. Just let me get rid of our long-term VWAP setups. And guys, I was saying exactly the same thing back here, and everyone was bearish on the market. You had the Michael Burrys of the world and all the big dogs on all the Wall Street banks saying, oh, don't buy stocks, blah, 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 right? And I was like, this is a broadening wedge. So anyway, that played out pretty much perfectly and then sent us back into a bull market, right? So it's very, very similar in structure. You have the first sell-off, rally, second sell-off, rally, third sell-off, rally, and then that final cup bit at the end, flip, resistance into support, and then you rally off that and we start pushing back to the highs. Right, it's pretty much the exact same structure that what we're seeing here on Bitcoin at the moment. It's just obviously a lot longer time frame because that one lasted a full year, whereas this one's only been going for a quarter. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, guys, and that's the main setup that I'm looking at the moment. Obviously, if we have bad news comes out tonight with the tariffs and they're way worse than what people think, this is going to break down and roll over. So you just have to keep that in mind. Don't shoot the messenger, guys. I know it's like, I'm sort of giving it could go both ways, but it can literally go both ways as always. And it's our job as traders to understand it can always go both ways. The market is completely random. You can't control everything. And it's not our job to try and predict where the market's going to go. It's understanding all the key levels that you want to take a trade off. And if price does go there and you get the reaction that you want to see, if you're going to take a trade or not. And that's pretty much all you can do. So I don't want to see any smart ass in the comments being like, oh, it can go both ways. Yeah, because it can always do that. Your job as a trader is to know where the key levels are and know the reactions you want to see off those key levels. And then if you do get those reactions, then you're ready to pull the trigger. And you're not caught out by anything random happening, or it pumps to a certain level and you're like, oh, should I take a trade here or not? It's like, okay, bang, this has gone to my level that I already had pre-drawn up. I want to take a trade here. Bang, I got more Morningstar reversal off our key level. Like if it comes down to our previous year VWAP and I get a pin bar off that, bang, I'm taking a trade with fucking size. I'll probably make 50K on it, right? Somebody else, they don't have the long-term VWAP indicator. Price is coming down here. It's broken below this range high here. And they start panicking. They don't know what they're doing. And because they predicted it to go up the upside. And now they're screwed if it goes to the downside, right? So that's why I like to look at each possible opportunity of where price could go. And then I'm prepared. I'm always looking at like, okay, you just got to see like all the different roadmaps that price could go in each single direction. And then you're ready and prepared to take action off those levels if you get the reaction that you want to see. All right, guys, let's go through and just quickly touch on a couple of altcoins. So Sui has really been trying to get going. Falling wedge here, obviously, had a really nice rally, got rejected from being able to trade inside the value area low, had another try just recently as well, and got rejected as well. So we need to see this really come in, but the key for this to flip bullish is going to be the same as Bitcoin. Obviously, we'll rally with Bitcoin and stocks. So it's going to be taking out this higher high. So obviously, we need a downtrend. And now, potentially, we're putting in a low here and then higher low here. So if we can break that, then we're up into an uptrend. And then we're looking for the rotation up to $4.30, which would be the value area high. Solana, very similar trade setup because pretty much the entire market is the same, right? Falling wedge, trying to get into the developing value area low. So the key trades here, guys, is once we can reclaim the value area lows, then we've got rotation trades all the way up to the value area highs. Hopefully that makes sense. I think a lot of these are probably going to eventually play out. How deep do we go first? We're already so oversold. If we do get a bad reaction here tonight, probably end up sweeping the low here, and then it goes on anyway. We just need to get clarity back in the market so that stocks can recover. I feel like once stocks can finally recover, then crypto is going to take off in a big way. Other big news as well. I'm not sure if you guys all saw the Trump family. Sorry, I should say. Have teamed up because they have their own American data centers. They're teaming up with Hut 8, the biggest Bitcoin mining companies on the planet. They're teaming up with them, and they're going to be launching. Their own Bitcoin mining company, and they reckon it's going to be one of the biggest in the world. So, like I dropped into Discord before, I said Trump family now have a crypto DeFi lending platform. They're launching a stable coin at the moment, and now they're launching a Bitcoin mining company. And don't forget, they were also trying to buy a Bitcoin and crypto exchange as well off ICE a little while ago. I've forgotten the name of it, but maybe someone can remind me in the comments. But they were trying to buy ICE's, which is Intercontinental Exchange. They were trying to buy their crypto trading exchange off them. But that's it for tonight, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you all in the next episode.